Alright, good morning. Another day out in the carport. Working to get this trans brake done. And yesterday, in the last video, we put in a power block, put in a relay so the nitrous and the trans brake can't come on at the same time. We tightened up the alternator, we timed the car, we made some small adjustments on the carburetor. It shouldn't need much. I'll probably mess with that a little bit once I warm it up and check the trans fluid, but right now I'm going to put in the trans brake because we need to run the trans brake from a 12 volt power source over to the button, then out the other side of the button to the relay and to the ignition box. And I looked up what color it was for the ignition box, but I'm short and fat, and the way this seat's made, the way it sticks out right there, and this is the part I'm dreading the most, and then the cage, I gotta fit my fat butt down there and find a hot one. It ain't so bad on that side because it's still got the stock seat in it. It doesn't stick out like this one does. See, down there and down there, that one don't do that, so it's easier for me on that side. But the fuse box is up under there, and then the ignition box is in here, and it's that dark blue wire then on the 8-pin connector, which is right there, dark blue one. That's the one that is gonna, when it sees 12 volts, it'll turn on the launch control, and we'll get the laptop out and set the launch control. I don't know, probably at 3,000 just for testing purposes. But I'm gonna go ahead and see how the button fits in the steering wheel. All right, I went ahead and took the seat out of the car. It's just sitting in there. I'm gonna, that came off, I have to fix that. I'm gonna, I'd say that's for me sliding in and out of there, but I'm gonna drill some more holes and scoot the seat back so I can fit in there better. Chris actually sits, he's taller than I am, but he sits closer than I do, and that close, my big fat stomach hits the steering wheel, and so it's just more comfortable for me to slide it back, and then I tippy toe the throttle pedal and the brake pedal stands up higher. So, and that's just the way I'm used to driving cars, I guess, from having taller friends and getting in their cars and not wanting to move the seat. And you know, I've just got used to tippy toeing the throttle, and I've always drove like that. And so I'm only 5'5", but I actually sit farther, about as far back as a 6-foot person would when driving a vehicle. That's just the way I've always drove. So, which kind of works out because I'm fat now and I gotta sit back farther. My big belly hits the steering wheel. So I'm gonna move the seat back. I got about a couple inches there. I can move it back, and that'll clear my stomach on the steering wheel just fine. Fat people problems. Plus, I needed to do that anyway, just so when he's not here and I feel like racing it, I can race it. And it's also going to help me get in there. And I'm going to use one of these. So what this does is it plugs right into the fuse box, and then this bottom fuse is for whatever it plugged into, and then the top fuse will go to whatever you want to hook it to. So I just got to find one down there that's a 12 volt. I'll do a 12 volt keyed on that way. I mean, it doesn't really matter if someone gets in hard and hits the button. It's just going to make the trans brake solenoid go in and out, and there ain't no pressure on the transmission, so it ain't going to bother anything. But I'm going to find a 12 volt switch source, and then when we put the seat back in, we'll drill some holes so we can slide it back so my fat butt can fit in there. Woohoo! Now I got the trans brake button in, and it barely fits in that hole. It's small, but I tightened it up. It don't pull through, so it should be good. But it almost slips through that hole. It just catches on it just enough, but it ain't going nowhere. And then I ran the thing to the fuse block. Not sure if you can see that. I ran that over there, And I'm going to zip tie that in real good. Back in the back over there. I got it coming out right there for now. That's where I'm going to zip tie it up to. I kind of wedged it in there. It should hold it when he turns the steering wheel and it wraps around the steering wheel. Now, we're just going to find this dark blue wire, bring it out, and then tie all this in together down here. You got to send that one through the firewall, which can be tricky sometimes, so I'll go ahead and send that one through the firewall. But we're almost there. But that shifter had already knocked loose from the back. My welds didn't hold. When we put that drive shaft loop in, the drive shaft loop was hitting the bolts that went back here. So I had to take those out, and I just tack welded the back end, but it came loose. But now these little things that went in the hole, they broke loose from the front when my big fat butt got in there, and I kind of fell on the shifter, but I barely hit it. But I think those were about to come out regardless. So I think what I'm going to do is weld nuts to the floor and then bolt it to the nuts. But it's going to be hard to test the trans brake until I fix that. But we'll see. Now, right at the trans brake wire, I'm going to use some of these things. They're pretty cool. A buddy of mine gave me some of these. I never even knew they existed, but you know, you can buy those connectors that you push together and they clip, and then you pull them apart, but you push them together one time and you try to pull them apart and they don't like to pull apart. You usually wind up ripping the wire out of them trying to pull them apart. But these right here, you just flip this yellow thing up, you stick the wire in there, you flip that down, it clips it down, and it's all plastic, so it you don't have to worry about it grounding out on anything. I'm trying to open it and see how it does. And it's like spring loaded. Let's see, they're cool. I'm about to get some more of these. He gave me a bunch of them, but see, it says it's good for 450 volts and 32 amps. I guess that's what that says. I'm no electrician. That's what it looks like it says. And the trigger wire for the relay, I mean, that's the whole purpose of it. It doesn't take that much amps, and neither does the 12 volt ignition box. So I'm just using a 16 gauge wire for all this. It's not going to see very many amps. That's the whole purpose of using a relay usually, is to keep amps out of you know, the switches and stuff like that. I don't know if I mentioned that or not, but the reason we're going to use these, some classes don't let you use a trans brake. They won't even let you have the button in the car. So if we're going to be running foot brake, we just pop these up, slide it out, snake it back through the steering wheel, and take it out, and then easily put it back in when we need to. All right, it's all wired up, pretty clean. The question is, does it work? I'm gonna try to strap that shifter down, and not gonna put the seat in it. I'm gonna back it out, warm it up, check the trans fluid. I already checked the coolant and the oil. Again, everything looks good. And see if we can't get that shifter to hold in there just enough to where we can at least check the trans brake here real quick. All right, I went into the MSD programmable and set the launch retard to 3000 just to test. And now let's see if we can strap that shifter down. But first, my mother-in-law's car is misfiring, so I'm gonna have to try to figure that out. All right, so on her car, I don't even know what it is, an 04 Pontiac Grand Prix or something. But anyway, I hooked HP tuners up to it. I pulled the tune PO300, which was a, it's a random misfire. If you ever see your engine light blinking, that's what that means. And then it said system lean. I forgot the 171, I think. And then it said PO306, which means cylinder 6 is the one misfiring, and the coils are labeled. And you can see one coil's already been changed. But now, here's the kicker. If you have a cylinder that's not firing, it's going to be stupid rich. But here's the thing, when it goes so rich, the computer reads it as lean, because yeah, that's just the way it does. So what I did was I stuck this screwdriver in there. Well, this is 3. And I looked to see how good it sparked. And then I did the same thing on number 6. And I ain't getting no spark at all. And you can see one coil pack's already been changed. So that's all it needs is a coil pack. That was easy. So I'm gonna go to the parts store and get a coil pack. Something told me to start with the coil, just because one coil's already been replaced. That's what told me to start there. So yeah. All right. No more misfire. Everything's looking good. We'll drive around the block, scan it, make sure no codes. But yeah, if you got a spark plug misfiring, it should read rich. But overly rich conditions, and I learned this from tuning on a wideband, overly rich conditions will read lean on the computer and on the narrow bands. It just does. I'm not sure exactly why, but let's check it out. Yeah, she's on a fixed income, so I went and hooked her up with a coil. It was only like 40 bucks. I was expecting like 75 to 100, but it's only 40 bucks. You know, the odd thing is, even with one cylinder down, this thing started right up, but you could tell it was misfiring. But yeah, also yesterday, the son-in-law, he locked his keys out of his car, so I had to go use a coat hanger and pick the lock on his car. I didn't video none of that, but not no hurry on that thing. I mean, you can't race until March anyway. So, and I like to help people out, so yeah. Well, I don't do this for a living, but I'm actually pretty good at it, and I probably should do it for a living. I'm pretty mechanically inclined. Like, you know, I can just watch a video and rebuild transmissions. Oh, now I feel like I'm bragging about myself. But anyway, let's go take it for a test drive. So far, so good. Alright, we completed our drive. Still no check engine light. Everything looks good over here. And we'll pull codes just to make absolutely sure. No DTCs. Good stuff. That's it. Her car is fixed. And I am happy that that was a quick, easy fix, and that her car's back to running good like it should. But I mean, on 5 cylinders, it's a 6-cylinder. On 5 cylinders, this thing would actually start right up. But I mean, you could tell it was misfiring, but it started right up good. I'm kind of impressed. I know my car's down a cylinder. It don't start that good. All right, let's see if we can strap this shifter down and see if our trans brake works. It's still hard to get in this thing. Let's see how it starts now with it's about 40 out. Ain't been started since yesterday. I can't hardly reach the pedal. Ain't got no seat in here. It's cold. I'm gonna put it in neutral. Now when we hit the trans brake button, it should go in reverse from neutral. There it goes. It works. It still needs warmed up. Dang it. It's hard to hold the camera and with the trans brake button. So that's a good sign. Now let's get it warmed up and check the fluid. Alright, I checked the trans fluid and it looks pretty good. Mine held 10 quarts. His only held 8. I mean, it's perfect. I'll probably drive it a little and check it again after I get the seat and the shifter fixed. But let's see if the trans brake will work. See if I can hold the camera and do this at the same time. Alright, we're in drive. Trans brake on. Oh, it sounds mean. It works. Trans brake's still on. Floor it. Like a charm. Put it back in the garage. I'm going to take off in second. Make sure second works. It does. Make sure third works. It does. That was my seat. That's how I put it in the front 2 holes and just pulled it back so I could shift it. So we're going to drill new holes in the seat and then we're going to fix the shifter. We're either just going to weld the shifter straight down or weld some nuts to the floor pan and bolt it that way. That'd probably be the best way. But yeah, and the temp gauge did start to move a little. Maybe it's just that cold outside. It's taking that long to heat up. But once I get the shifter and the seat back in it, we'll drive it around. I had the overflow full. It's leaking out the overflow a little bit because it was too full. But I expected that. But there's another, we'll probably have to burp the coolant a little bit too, but there's another sensor over here that actually controls the fans. So the fans are going to kick on regardless if the gauge works. But got to wire loom all this crap. That's going to be fun. Fix the seat, fix the shifter, fix the temperature gauge if it's not working. It might just be that cold and taking it that long to warm up. Yeah, that's pretty much it. I'm gonna call it quits for today. It's only about 3 o'clock. I'm gonna go eat something and watch some football. I'm gonna call today a success. Fix the mother-in-law's car and got the trans brake button in this and working. I'm happy. Y'all have a good day. Like and subscribe. So the temp gauge not working could just be the coolant just needing bled some. That's possibly it, but yeah, we'll take care of that. Need a seat and shifter.